Right, so last time, I don't think we had this section in. I kind of skipped around and I apologize, but I'm pretty sure last time we left off we had just gotten this curve section in. So we're back here again in the staging room. You can see that I've put a few essentially risers in that are attached to these 2x4s. So you can see I just put two screws into the side there, and they overhang this way. And then you can set your sub-roadbed on top and then just drill straight into it. So we got our curve piece locked in right there. We haven't put any more supports in over this long span. Don't worry, we will, because right now it's kind of loose. It moves around. So there will be one or two supports coming off of this stud. We'll also have to build some sort of structure so that we have some sort of support between the wall and our support off of that 2x4. So then coming this way, we have another piece of sub-roadbed that just kind of spans across here, and then it ends right here. So right at this point where we leave off, we're going to begin our curve section. So this is a, I believe this is a 38-inch radius curve. It's going to sweep this way, and we'll have supports here, here, off of this 2x4, and then also between these two before it goes out into this portion of the upper level, which is Crawford, Nebraska, where we'll have our helper pocket there. So what we need to do now is kind of assemble this curve. There's one more span, one more curve section, needs to go in here before we complete the curve. And then we'll have a very short portion of a straight sub-roadbed just coming straight out of there that we'll have to connect to our curve section. And I'll try to show a little bit of how I set the risers in here. And again, I'm going to do a completely separate video on how I determine my grades. I might touch on that in this video. I'll just talk a little bit possibly about how I do the grades, but I want to do a further in-depth video on determining grades when we move to the grades of the upper level. But again, as you can see, they're just more of the kind of the same design risers that we have there that are at a gradual incline. So this is still heading upgrade over here. When it'll start to curve, still heading upgrade, we'll meet up with our sub-roadbed, or our upper level out there. So here's our curve section. I just cut this last piece here. You can see the joint right there. Right now I just kind of have this mocked up with a couple of clamps, just so I can see how it fits back here. Excuse me. Usually I wouldn't cut this last section as long, because I know I need to cut some of it off, but it's just kind of awkward back here, and it's really tough with no solid wall to get measurements on how long this really needs to be, because what's going to happen is you can kind of see how wide this curve is. So I actually need to slide this around. When this is flush here, this piece curves just a little too much, so I'm going to have to kind of play around with this and put it up there. We're going to cut this piece a little short here, and then we'll have to kind of splice in another section that'll go from the portal right there. It'll kind of come out of there and then taper into this and just kind of flow into this curve, and then we can connect all that and we should be good. Then we'll move to the upper level, but I just need to cut that really quick so I can get the right distance and right measurements, and then we'll start to work on getting this curve section propped up with some risers off of these 2x4s here. You'll probably notice that I just made a change to the curve here. Instead of having it all one width, we kind of widened the end here. And it looks kind of awkward because there's a notch right there. But the reason for that really is that I don't know exactly what the final track arrangement out here will be. And it'll give us some flexibility on how we arrange the turnouts for the siding, mainline, and helper pocket. So I don't want to explain that too much right now because I can't really arrange the tracks up here to explain it very well. I tried explaining it in a couple of clips, but I wound up deleting them because it doesn't really make any sense when I explain it. So we're going to go ahead and put the section in. We'll get a little more work done on the upper level out here with the sub-roadbed and stuff. And then I'll try to get some temporary tracks in so I can explain to you exactly what we're going to do here, because we're probably going to have two tracks side by side right here. Alright, so closer here to the portal out into the room, we had to put a little bar across our main studs here. We did this on the lower level too, except with the 2x4 under there. And what this will do is just kind of regulate the height when we're putting in that last section here. And this will also give us something to screw into, because there's really no way to slide a piece in there and then screw it into these 2x4s here. So anyway, I also added this support piece here. It's a little awkward because we have these span pieces underneath to connect the joints, and that kind of prevented me from putting one on this side of the stud, which is kind of the ideal side to screw in from. So it's going to be a little awkward screwing in over there, but I did get this to fit between these two blocks underneath here. I'll do another one right here as well, and then we'll kind of prop this up, make sure we have the grade right, and then we'll try to hold it in place and then screw in over there, and then this should be supported. I also have to do another support there, and then, as I said, we'll also put a span piece from kind of the edge of the drywall there to right here. So besides the supports that need to go down here along this curve, basically everything else is in place. So we have the straight section, and then as you can see, this curve section is in now with all of these supports. So we have you know, all of our connections made. Here's kind of a joiner block underneath this joint. There's one underneath this joint too. You remember we have this notch here, so we can run 2 tracks, possibly 1 stub end right here. Again, I'll do more explanation on that. And there's another spacer down here. And then this piece was kind of interesting. If you actually look at it, it's kind of a wedge shape, and actually it fits really nicely in between the two 2x4s right there. And then it just kind of like fans out here to get to the full width of the curve piece right here. But it actually worked out really smooth. I mean, it looks kind of rough because there's a lot of different materials used and quite a few angles and screws in. Plus we have our supports coming off the studs here. And actually this is really strong. I'm surprised because that comes out pretty far. But if we do on the other side, there's 1 screw above the other, and that's really sturdy out here. There's absolutely no sag. Same here. So having 3 supports right here makes this very sturdy, and I have no doubt that this will hold up over time. So laying the plywood up here isn't going to be difficult at all, but this first section is really the hardest, just because we kind of have an angle in here. If you look under there, so I notched out a little corner down here, so this would slot around the molding here. So now that we have that basically flush up there, I've gone underneath, and just with a red Sharpie, I've just kind of traced an outline underneath this edge, running all the way along there, even up to this corner here. And then even on the straight portion here, there's kind of a lip, so I just did the same thing, kept running the Sharpie underneath there. And then we'll head over there with our sawhorses. We'll flip this board over, and then we'll just use our jigsaw to cut along that red line. And then we'll repeat the process moving on down that way. And I'll show a little bit of that in time lapse. Well, it took forever, but we finally got the sub-roadbed through this section, back through staging, and then up along the scene in Crawford Inn. So now we can move on to laying some cork roadbed and track. So as you can see, I have my cork here. If we turn around, you can see this is where we left off. So we'll take our hot glue gun, which is our preferred method, and then we will, once we get the cork down, we will lay our track with the adhesive. We'll have to let that dry for a little bit, but then when we come back, hopefully we can get a train running to the upper level over here. Alright, so we got our cork road bed down all the way back through staging, and we got it up to about this point. I haven't continued yet. I'm going to lay it up here in a second, but I wanted to explain really quick kind of how this is going to work up around here near the helper pocket, and that'll also help to explain why this piece right here is wider than the other sections. So if you can imagine, our far track coming out of the portal over here is our main line. And if you follow here, actually I've marked it right here, you can see there's our main line, siding, and our helper pocket. So, you know, if you go straight off, let's pretend, this is kind of rough, but just pretend here's our turnout for our siding and main line, so you can go straight on the main line. You can also turn off here onto the siding, and then the helper set will be sitting somewhere in here, and they will have to exit onto the siding using this turnout. So this is really bad spacing. Realistically, we'd have the helper pocket turn out a little further down this way. But the trouble that we run into is if a train is long enough, and there will be two turnouts, one on this side of the helper pocket and one down here. If the train is short enough that it fits between this, where this turnout will be, and the turnout way on the other end of the siding, if the train set fits on that side, then we have no problem. The helper set can just exit out that way and attach to the train. However, if the train is long enough and it fouls this turnout, which isn't shown clearly, but imagine there's a turnout there, then the helper set has to exit out this side of the helper pocket, which is no trouble, except depending on where we place the helper pocket, it's possible that when that helper set runs out onto the siding, that they'd also have to foul the main line, because it might be long enough. So to fix that problem, coming off of the siding, so we're going to kind of push this turnout this way. Imagine that we have kind of a switchback track here. So you have your main line still goes straight. You can also switch off here into the siding, but coming out of the helper pocket, you can, instead of heading out onto the main and fouling the main, you can also switch back this way, and imagine there's a track heading out that way, which will then become a tail track as it heads back through the wall and just kind of stub ends right there. But visually, it also makes it seem like that this is a double main line coming into Crawford, which is something that I was trying to go for. So anyway, that just explains why we did our sub-roadbed on the other side double wide, and now that I've explained that, I'm going to go ahead and lay the cork out here. Alright, so as you can see, I have not installed all the track yet. I actually haven't even started over there, but as I mentioned earlier, this section up here for now is not going to be glued down just because we have, I'm waiting on getting track with concrete ties for up here. So this is just, I just put together some pieces of flex track with some rail joiners and just set that up here for now. So that's just loose for right now. So what I need to do now is come over here with our flex track and start to solder these joists together off of here, and then just continue our way through the wall, back through staging, and then meeting up here where I kind of stopped with our loose flex track right here. And one thing that I didn't show but is pretty helpful is if you have some sandpaper and a wooden block, I recommend that you take that to your cork after you finish it and before you lay the track down, just to smooth off the top surface and also the edges, the beveled edges, because sometimes you get little balls of cork and you don't want those to get caught up under the ties because you could have some bumps in your track. So just take some sandpaper and smooth that off a little bit before you lay your track down. Alright, so I've already done a tutorial video earlier, actually I think this summer, so quite a few months ago, on how to install cork roadbed and track. But I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick reminder anyway. So you can see we've already cut off our end ties here, and these were already cut off here as well. So you can kind of see this is your loose rail on the inside. So as I just said, we're going to set that on the inside of the curve. And then take our rail joiners here, and we will slide those onto our loose piece of track. Actually, it doesn't matter which way you do it, but I'm going to do it this way. I apologize for the lighting too, it's kind of weird. That'll get fixed eventually. Alright, so we got those on there. Then just go ahead and then slip that onto your existing piece of track. Sometimes it's a little stubborn. Alright. And then you're going to make sure that your track is straight. So even though we have a curved section off that way, you want to make sure this is straight for when you install or when you add solder. So I'm going to create just the slightest gap here, just for expansion and contraction with our rail joiners there. And then making sure the track is straight again, I'm going to take my soldering iron and then just apply some pressure to the joint there with our, I think this is rosin core solder. And then just make sure to apply even heat and then just go along the joint, and that should be solidified. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side. We'll repeat that process with each of our pieces, and once this joint is made and it is solidified, you can then set your curve. Okay, so I have the track all soldered. You can see there's that joint. You can also see that when this is curved, it's a pretty smooth transition. So this one's a little bent, and I'll fix that when we glue that down. But that kind of shows how useful it is to make sure that your track is straight when you're soldering it, because then once this is soldered, it basically becomes one piece of rail, and you can curve it, and then there aren't any kinks in your joint. So anyway, I've soldered all the joints as I mentioned. You can see we go all the way up to the portal there. We got a nice little S curve, and then over here we come out of the portal. This is our 26-inch radius. Sorry for the dark lighting back here. And then we straighten out here. We're still climbing up grade. And you'll probably notice I've just put tacks in temporarily before I glue it down. Again, coming up grade here again. And then we head out to the upper level, over here where we have our coal train. And you can see there's a slight, just a really slight S-curve there, because when we come out of the portal here, we're kind of offset towards the back of the wall over here. And then over here, we're actually about 6.5 inches off of the wall. So anyway, again, out here, this is just temporarily in. It's not glued down right now. And I'm not going to get to gluing right now. I'm going to take a break here. This will kind of wrap up this video. And then next time, which will be kind of part 2 or part B of this construction video, we'll glue this down, and I promise you we'll get trains running. So I apologize. I wanted to do that all in one video, but we have just a little bit to go, then we'll get some trains running, and we also have some other things to show you, like the wall that we've done over there. We've extended that. And also, I didn't really show this, but I never finished this section down here because one thing that we decided is that unlike the lower level where we have a lift out here, I think we're just going to make this a permanent span across. We're probably just going to remove the door to the sump pump. This will still be removable in the case of emergency, but we're going to put a backdrop on it as well. So what I was thinking is when we build this frame across over there after we get that drywalled, I will make the plywood piece. Clearly it'll be segmented right here, but then that'll be one fluid piece going across there just to make everything just a little bit stronger. So in case you're wondering, that's why I haven't finished this, and I haven't been able to get that curve in here and do the main line. But next time, when we get a little framework done, I'll put on that final piece of plywood, and then we'll get that curved section through there, and hopefully continue the main line along the rest of the layout. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching as always. Next time, again, I promise you we'll get trains running up to the upper level here, and then we'll continue working on sub-roadbed, framework, the backdrop, fascia. I think I'm going to do some painting of the backdrop next time as well, so we'll get a significant visual change, and plenty of more things to do. So, as I said, thanks for watching, and look for more videos soon.